Hey, g'day guys, it's Adam from VideoShowMeHow, and in this video, this has been about 6 months in the making. I've been on a quest to find the perfect mobile phone mount, the best mobile phone mount out there, and in particular one that will work in your car, in your four-wheel drive, like we've got in the D-Max here, and one that won't jiggle around like a madman every time you go off-road. I've found the solution. Let's get started. So if you're anything like me, you will be driven wild when your mobile jiggles. When you're in the car, you're driving along, and particularly when you've got mapping or something like that up on the screen and you're cruising around and this thing is just jiggling away, particularly when you're off-roading. I've been on a quest to come up with something that will hold this sucker rock solid, and more importantly as well, won't fall off windscreens or anything like that. And to catch you up, I've probably gone through quite seriously a couple of $100 of different bits and bobs. So right off the top, I'm not even going to talk about the clip style mounts that go into your air vents. They're no good. The really cheap sort of window suctiony cup type ones that you get at your local auto store, no good. The cup holder style that go into your cup holders. I don't know about you, but I kind of want somewhere to put my drinks, my cup holders, my coffees, that sort of stuff. So they're out as well. And this pile here is kind of the latest and greatest that I've been working with over the last couple of months. And I've been able to Frankenstein together the perfect scenario from these bits. So a couple of prerequisites that I really wanted to have. One was that I could one-hand it. I could chuck this thing on the mount without needing to dick around with two hands. And two, making sure that this thing is just rock solid and doesn't move at all, regardless of the terrain you're going across. And then finally, if the car is sitting in the blazing hot sun, copping it with all the heat and what have you, it's not something that is going to fail over time, and you get back to your car and you find your phone on the floor. So I've been testing this with a whole bunch of different cars and seriously been spending way too much time obsessing over this. But good news is you don't have to do the same thing. I've done it all for you. So the first thing, windscreen mounts are pretty dang good. And when you get a super high quality one like these from Quad Lock, they are probably the best in the business that I've been able to find from a windscreen mount. However, what I have found with those is because they're still a windscreen mount, as soon as crazy heat starts hitting the windscreen and it's really getting stuck in and heating things up over time, they fail. Over time they fail. I've gone through 2 different types of these, been in touch with Quad Lock, who have been awesome, but I think it's just fundamentally with this style, if you're in an environment where you're just copping that heat on the windscreen the whole time, just over time, I guess it's going to be some form of polymer, some form of rubber, and that is going to stretch and weaken over time, and that's what I've found. So after I was playing with that, RAM have double and also triple. And so I started trying to Frankenstein together, okay, well, if one's no good, maybe two's the way to go. And surprise, surprise, same story. So with those being a bit of a bust, I moved on to go, okay, when was the time that I had this guy super solid? And that was back in the Jeep days, and I had one of these X mounts, and the phone sort of just clamps in there like that. And I also had some RAM balls that were built into grab handles on the side of the Wrangler, which were super awesome, look like brass knuckles, they were amazing, they were awesome, but obviously I don't have those in the D-Max or any other car for that matter. So first up, I needed a ball head. I needed the inch ball head, and so I trawled through the RAM catalog, and surprise, surprise, they have one of these, the R&B 272U, and it looks like one of these. It has a 1-inch ball on one side and then a little 9mm hole on the other, all sort of alloy solid stuff as per usual from RAM. So I thought, okay, well, this is probably a good start. I just need somewhere to put it. So I started trawling around the insides of the car, looking for some place that I could screw through here to attach the 1-inch ball mount to give us our foundation. And surprise, surprise, in all 4 of the cars that I've been testing this with, they all have grab mounts. And that means they have a little mounting point. They have these little screws that sit in here. So then it's just a matter of getting this guy and screwing it into place so it sits there ready to go, and you have a perfect solid foundation. So with our mount now in place, the next step is to build out and go, okay, well, how are we going to connect the thing? And step one was, how are we going to connect the phone? For me, that's where the quad lock case really comes into its own, because it's a sturdy case. You can give your phone a good bit of protection, drop protection, screen crack protection, all of that sort of good stuff. But it also has the locking mechanism built into the case itself, which is pretty cool. You can see here that I've got just one of the separate workshop modules, and there we go, attached one-handed, detached one-handed, no problem at all, really easy to use. One hand was the way to go, so I needed something quad lock to be able to go back to a 1-inch ball. And this is what we went with. This is one of their moto mounts, and to be used on motorbikes, bikes, all of that sort of stuff. And the reason for that is it's kind of, it works for us too, because there's our standard one. This is what that one looks like. So you can see very similar. However, you can see it's got this extra tab at the bottom here. So what happens when you click your phone into place, you sort of push down on that, click into place, still all one-handed, but it gives you that extra lockingness on the side there, which makes this even more sturdy when it's attached to the back of your case. And so to join these guys together, we needed to tap a ram once again. They seem to make the best. We want 1-inch to 1-inch, and we want an adapter to join that. You can get these kind of deal that give you sort of multiple angles and twisting on both ends to get your super customability. I want it a bit shorter. And then there's these guys. You can get a stubby, which is only really short to go in between there, but I needed a bit more length. So I've landed on one of these. That is one of these units, the 201UA. And that gives you that length, and it's compatible. You put a ball, 1-inch ball in one end, 1-inch ball in the other. So there it is. That is our setup, but this thing is awesome. It doesn't move at all, and it doesn't care about the sun either. So let's get that into that. Clip him in there just like that, and then you want to kind of start lining everything up. So for me, I want to have the little turny thing down the bottom so it's easily accessible from underneath. We can spin this guy around so we have our one-handed operation, attach onto our ball, and then tighten. Pretty sort of straightforward. Then get your mount with your quad lock side of things. Boom, clip into place, and make sure then that it's exactly where you want it. And there you go. And there we have it, all in place. You can see that there's nothing attached to the window, obviously, so it doesn't matter how much sun that's going to cop with all alloy cast pieces and what have you. It is solid as. Same on this side. We want to make sure that if you have airbags that we're not using any of the bolts, that it's anywhere near that. In this case, it's getting blasted out of there, so we're hunky-dory. I think the only thing to do now is take this guy for a test drive so I can show you just how stable it is. So here we are. You can see Android Auto working. This is probably going to be a little subjective, but over some speed bumps, you can see that we've got zero movement. That's where you really notice it, is where you're trying to read sort of information on the screen at a glance. There's another speed bump, but you can see that when they are jiggling around, that's where it becomes super annoying and super frustrating, to be honest, because it's jiggling around and it's really hard to read. But with this kind of mount, we are solid as. Another speed bump here. Let's give it a, there we go. And nothing doing, which is just awesome. We'll find a bit of a dirt patch here in a minute, and we'll have a cruise around on there to see what sort of shake we get. So similarly here, bit of a dirt fire trail. Nothing crazy. Same sort of deal. It's probably my hand shaking more than anything else, but we got nice and solid screen. And there you have it. That is the best off-road phone mount that I've been able to put together. It's a bit of a Frankenstein. We're half quad lock, we're half RAM, so Q RAM maybe, quad RAM, I don't know. But it's a 50-50 and it's a bit of a Frankenstein, but I tell you what, it works an absolute treat. Perfect for one-handed operation, easy to whack your phone in as you're getting into the car. No mucking around, positive click with our mount here. And I tell you what, when you're off-roading with this on the beach, on some tough tracks, this thing does not move. So it is perfect for your navigation, for your mapping, that sort of jazz, or if you're running your Talk Pro or some other sort of live temps, that sort of thing, as I tend to obsess over, it is freaking perfect. As always, guys, I hope that you found that video helpful for you. Let me know in the comments below, what is the best sort of off-road mount that you've been able to find that's lasted the test of time, that hasn't ended up falling down on the floor when you're opening the door after a really hot day. Let me know in the comments. Really interested to see if there's an even better version than this little Frankenstein out there. As always, a massive thank you to the patrons of Video Show Me How. Super thankful for your extra support. We've moved across to the Patreon platform rather than the YouTube memberships. Just gives us a little bit extra flexibility, ability for me to send some merch out to the Patreons and that sort of jazz. So check out the links down below if you're keen to support future content. Heaps more videos filmed and coming up and planned for the D-Max series, so check that one out if you haven't already. And of course, as always, I hope that you have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.